Now, the language Morse, like there is, like as an architect, when you start to see the expression starts to move a little bit. And you can see that this language is connected to he or her and he in its first occurrence. And so with he and her, you and us, is this measure of knowing. The ayin is the language of knowing and seeing the mighty and the strong water within you. We need to know this. It's with you. It's running through your veins right now, light. And it's seeking compression, or at least a willingness to contract to pull it out. Now we have and how you spell mem, by the way, is mem. And so now we have this word aman, ayin mem, which that is saying the exact same thing. Now within you, in the dark, it overshadows you. But it's within you. This overshadowing is in you. And this is the dark that we're trying to process through the birthing channel. This is where we resolve our shadow work that everyone's wrestling right now to seek the resolve of right ascension, or the right measure of right return. This is it's the law of return. There is a law to this to become. So I'm just going to quickly just roll through these just to see these expressions of what this is as a frequency. And then here's some etymology, what overshadow is as a word. Shade, darken, conceal, obscure, right? This is all within you. Beyond. So the beyond of God, which we already know through study, is the same word for ibri or abra, which means beyond, which is the same word for Hebrew. The whole frequency is in your DNA. This is basic stuff now. We already know this. But this word of beyond in etymology is actually from the root of Ibri, which is the word for Hebrew, which is directly connected to Aramic or Aramaic, and it is within you. It's running through it's coursing through your veins. It's your fiber of your being. It's your DNA. And it's just hidden in the dark chambers. Aman. Now we have the Aleph Mem Vav Nun directly connected to this, because this is directly connected to Nu, and this is now the Egyptian god, and it's part of this word. It's interesting that it's even connected to a multitude. This word for is the word for people or a collective. So we, the people, contain God as a measure that's seeking the contract to fulfill it through validation to invalidation. Without going into too much of the schematics, there's the word, there's the silent Aleph on the back of Nu, and it means to neutralize. There's the pretext to Emanuel, a people living east of the Jordan. Ayin Mem Vav Nun. This is the expansion of the word, and now we're connected to God with us. Just now we flipped the Vav to the expansion, but we're waiting for a connection here to connect God to this right here in Emanuel. But Emanuel and its occurrences, they're not, it's waiting for this expression to be unified, because as I already said, that in its uses, it's separated. Only two occurrences. Something has to happen to join us in resonance of frequency to connect God to this measure right here of knowing that you are the people. And this Nu right here is the word to neutralize. We have to know how to neutralize, and that word for Nu is directly connected to agitation and frustration and anger, which is directly from the root of fear. Part of the ego that wants to keep us out of calibration from the resolve of how frustration can morph into anger, and then it because it's promoted by fear, which is the root of ego. That all has to be neutralized. That's the Nu. When we know this, when we know to know the way of mother's uprising, ma'am, to know that what needs to be neutralized is the measure of Nu, then we can join ourselves to one as God again. And now Amu, Anu, Amnu, El is back in the earth as a God measure. In ancient Egypt, this bird, the stork, the blue heron, was called the Bennu bird. And it's from the root nu, and it means God. And this is ancient. You can look up Bennu. It's called the Bennu bird, and it's called the blue heron, which in the blue heron in Hebrew means Zeus, the white horse. And it's the measure of both signet rings on the hand, and it's directly connected to the left hand where we're going. In this language of return, what's happened is when we came into the structure, the temple was inverted. We were inverted. And so Solomon's temple, we came, God in us was already in us. We had to walk out the measure. We had to be birthed into, really, the head was upside down. The whole temple was inverted. And so this is kind of a rendering of Solomon's temple, the left-hand pillar and the right-hand pillar. The right-hand pillar being Yakin, and the left-hand pillar being Boaz in its own. Hopefully we know that, right? In scripture, we know that Solomon's temple, and we know that Yakin by definition means to be established, and Boaz means swift, which is the same word for new, and it's the same word for Zeus and mighty. So the left hand of Boaz is trying to be established right now. The left hand through the third row is trying to be established, so the body is in balance, but it can only be done when we know the way of return to turn it upright. We can't go the left-hand path. When we were inverted, the left was already in wrong standing, which is now the swift and the mighty. We have to learn to crawl out of your belly. This is the birthing chamber. This is you without your head. This is your left side. This is your right side. We are all birthed. Yes, we're birthed, but there's a micro macro going on here. Yes, we're birthed into this realm from our parents. There's been consent and we're birthed in. But now let's take this into another dimension and move this into, we all were birthed from the presence of already being the 13 strands. We had to change direction or morph into a different form for the purpose of experience. We had to diminish ourselves in luminescence per se, and we had to be brought into the construct. Out of your belly, you will crawl in the earth, right? You're going to have to know what it is to come out and crown yourself. You're going to have to walk this out yourself and wrestle your own journey from immature crawl to adolescence, into the maturity of a stand that learns how to learn that you are seated now as honor back on the throne again, fully crowned. That's what's happening.
Heather has a comment. Maybe.
Heather?
Yeah. So go to Heather and then ask her to unmute.
There you go. Did I unmute you?
I think so.
There we go. Yes, you're good.
I know you guys are going to be sick of me, but this is just too much. Rick picks up a blue heron, swoops over him. I'm here, and I said I was in a recovery program. I have a new sponsee. She just texts me her address. Can you see that? It's 63 Blue Heron.
63 Blue Heron.
Can you see
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
While we're sitting here, you're saying that, and it's just
Synchronicities.
So so here's the thing with sharing this. I run myself through my own rails of going like, don't share, don't, at light speed, my head's going like, share, don't share. Don't take them down that road because you start going off the track of intention. Why would I bring up the blue heron? It's unnecessary because it's all about the left-hand side that you haven't even developed the right-hand side yet. But it's speaking to me as we're going. So I'm like, yeah, just release it. Just say it. And okay, so I got to connect it because new is on the left-hand side of this, and it is the blue heron. It's the Bennu bird, which means the sons or the progeny of return know the expanse of God because it's in the depth of your well. It's Amnu El. It's God within you. It's wound in your DNA. Find this to become it, to establish it back in the earth. So the standard is back as a constitution of intention. Trust yourself, know yourself, Know yourself well. And this is the problem, that what this is right here. These ones that have inverted as principalities and powers in the earth, they do not know themselves well. They live as immature children, and they've lived in the inversion, and they never righted the ship to know upright, and they've lived, and they're actually making really unsustainable. They're trying to make unsustainable sustainable, which is impossible. This has to be turned. So now the head is placed, and we have the mind of Christ again. And now we've taken this whole nature and we flipped it. So now the right-hand side, which is trust and faith, is restored. So the head can be placed on. So we have the mind that knows to create a new reality, right? Through this measure of yakin to be established. If anyone wants to know that number of yakin, the right-hand pillar, it's Strong's 3199, and it roots out at 3559, and it means kun, to stand.
You see Rick and Kathleen as well?
Okay, just me 1 second. This Bennu bird is important for you, because what's coming in and what's going on right now is the calibration. The left hand is here, the observer is here, the watchman is in the earth right now, seeking to see where we are in the calibration of ourselves. Where were we in harmony through the three stones, meaning what? In the delight that balances trust. Have you found delight in yourself to balance your own trust, to know that you are the third stone, you are the third row as a frequency? Find yourself.